Coming up on this week's episode of Break It Down with Brian H., I welcome my brother Andre Melton from the Flex Zone. You've seen the real Dwayne Allen and myself go on their show or seen them go on their other segment in between the zone. Well, this time I welcome my brother onto my platform. So coming up, ladies and gentlemen, Andre Melton joins us to talk wrestling.
No, baby, that's for somebody else. We're just going to keep you right where you're at right now.
It doesn't matter what you think.
The Wrestling Realm presents Break It Down with Brian H.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, as promised, I got my bro on here, my brother Andre Melton. They call him the Black American Dream. I mean, he got so many nicknames, you know, but I know the ladies love Dre. So we got Dre on the line, folks, from the Flex Zone. You've heard him in a few promos if you're an old school fan of Break It Down with Brian H., but now you're going to get to hear his wrestling knowledge. Dre, what's up, bro?
What's good, man? As you would say on the Flex Zone, when the Flex Zone calls, but in this case, when Brian Waters calls, I got to pick up.
Hey,
drop
man.
Everything.
I'm finally glad I finally got a chance to have you on. You know, I've been trying to do this for a while. You know, we've had D from the Flex Zone. Before we get into Break It Down with Brian H., the Flex Zone is back. Let the people know where they can find it.
Man, each and every Monday night, yes, the Flex Zone, we are back. Mondays at 10 p.m. Facebook Live right now. We're working back on getting our YouTube channel started up, but still subscribe. Put in the Flex Zone podcast. We'll pop right up. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram, the Flex Zone 1. A lot of content is to come in the new year. I'm excited for what's about to happen in 2020 and beyond.
Well, yeah, definitely they should subscribe because there's a lot of timeless material on the YouTube channel. So I'm definitely excited about that. You know, the real Dwayne Allen and I was on there, and we talked about some things that's still relevant, so people should subscribe. But let's get right into it. Dre, we got Brock Lesnar entering the Royal Rumble, and he's entering as the number one man. He's the WWE Champion already, so this is unprecedented. Yes, in 2016, Roman Reigns defended the WWE Championship as a member of the Royal Rumble, but that was because it was a punishment. Lesnar is willingly entering the Rumble as number one. What do you think about this?
Has WWE lost their creative mojo? Why is the WWE champion in the Royal Rumble? He's not, as far as I know, he's not defending the belt. He's just in the match itself. Is it saying that WWE has nobody for Brock Lesnar to face? Like what angle right now is it? I mean, I'd rather for Brock Lesnar not even be in the damn match. I just fully don't understand what they're doing creatively right now. We have The Fiend and Daniel Bryan for the Universal title, yes. But how is it that the WWE champion himself is in the Royal Rumble match? And then let's just say for kicks and giggles that Brock Lesnar wins the match. Who is he going to face, himself? I'm just, what are you doing, WWE? I know it's unprecedented, but at the same time, it makes no damn sense either.
Yeah, it definitely makes no sense. You know, I was texting my uncle when this was happening, and you know, I don't think he wasn't watching Raw. But I said, "Man, do you know Lesnar's entering the Rumble?" He was like, kind of just rolled his eyes, like he said the rolling eye emoji, like, why? You know, I don't get it. Not a fan of it at all. But you know, I always say, let's see what happens. Let's reserve the judgment. But I can tell you, I'm not really that excited about it just yet. But we'll see. Sticking to Monday Night Raw, I'm gonna switch up the rundown a little bit. Speaking of Monday Night Raw, the Big Show returned to join Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe to go against Seth Rollins and AOP. What you think about another Big Show return?
Another eye roller. Like, why are we having the Big Show return? trust. Brian, you've been my brother since day one. You know how I feel about who I'm about to bring up, The Undertaker. It's as if The Undertaker would return. Like at this point, why are we having people like The Big Show, The Undertaker return, when there's so many other superstars out there who could return or bring a young guy up and give him the opportunity? I'm not understanding whatsoever why are you bringing back The Big Show. To me, it speaks desperation and, again, a lack of creativity within the WWE, which is just mind-boggling because growing up as a fan of the product, that's all that the wrestling business was. It was each and every week that shock value was there. You had up-and-coming talent that was used. Now, it's not the same. We did have something, a little spark of how the Attitude Era used to be when you had NXT versus Raw versus SmackDown. You kind of knew what was going to happen, but then again, you didn't know what was going to happen. So it's kind of like it reminded me a little bit about the Invasion era, but it was still exciting to see this stuff with Brock and Big Show coming back. I mean, honestly speaking, you just don't know who they about to bring up out of retirement. I mean, for all that, you might as well bring Hulk Hogan back. He said he's healthy and working out again.
Whoa. No, here's my thing, right, about this. When they came on board and they knew we was going to have a surprise, right? Mm-hmm. And Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe, they went in the back and they wouldn't tell nobody. So this automatically triggers, okay, who could they be bringing back? Who could they bring back? And the way Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe's like, oh yeah, we're good. We're okay in this match. And you thinking, all right, this is going to be a big deal. Now this is the thing about the Big Show. No disrespect, but he will always be on that second to third tier level of superstars. Never once was he the guy. Yes, he's been the WWE champion. Yes, he's been a world heavyweight champion. But he's just one of those people. He's just not it, bro. You know, you look at the Chicago Bulls, right? Back in the day. You had Michael Jordan, you had Scottie Pippen, and then you had others. A guy like Tony Kukoc was never going to be it, right? Dennis Rodman, even with all his antics and stuff, he was never the guy, you know? And that's what I look at with the Big Show. He's never been the guy. And that's the reason why I'm just like, big deal. But let's move on. Let's go to AEW. Jon Moxley. He was offered pretty much the world, 49% of the company. He was offered a $750,000 car just to join the Inner Circle. Now, Moxley said, he came out there and he said, he's never been about that. He's always been about dominating. And because of that, he was choosing to join the Inner Circle. They had this big celebration. After the celebration, he said, I'm with Le Champion. Everybody's celebrating and get ready to go off the air. Right before that, as Jake Hager, as Sammy Guevara, and they got out of the ring, all of a sudden, Moxley looks at Jericho and says, oh, Chris, I forgot to tell you one thing. I was just kidding. And, boom. And he even went as far as to have a shirt that was like Inner Circle with Mox spray painted over it. But then say he was just kidding. Dre, you think of a guy like Jon Moxley. Should he, or I should say, would this have been cool to see him as a member of the Inner Circle?
No. I like what he's doing right now in AEW. It's almost hard to believe that this was Dean Ambrose in WWE. But I mean, I think the injury may have honestly been a blessing in disguise for him. The role that he played when he was in WWE, and they did originally push when he was Dean Ambrose. I mean, he was getting a push as a singles competitor, even when he was with the Shield. The injury happened, and then you saw him come back different, bigger, and he always had potential, but it was like it just wasn't used properly in WWE, and it's kind of hard when you have Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns there. I think in AEW he has a fresh start, and I like what they're doing right there with him being an independent superstar, and he didn't need to join a faction. It's good enough that Chris Jericho has the Inner Circle, and let this feud play itself out, continue to build itself up. Especially with the situation where Cody Rhodes isn't going to be able to get a opportunity. We know that later on down the road he'll probably get a title shot, but right now Moxley is the guy, and you want to eventually see Moxley and Jericho. So no, I think that the best thing for them to do is what happened tonight.
Well, I'm gonna disagree, Dre, because I wanted to see something different. I wanted to see Moxley as a part of Inner Circle. I wanted to see them dominate, make Moxley the kind of like the number one heel with Jericho being there. Jericho's getting ready to go on tour soon. We know that. He's getting ready to go on his rock and roll tour. I don't think he would have like did a finger poke or doom situation, but I would have liked to seen him kind of step out and Moxley be that number one main event heel. I do think the number one heel is MJF, which we'll talk about soon. But I would like to see Moxley kind of be that guy leading the Inner Circle and then move up a Kenny Omega to that number one babyface. Because right now, Moxley instantly became, in my opinion, the number one babyface because he made it clear he's coming for the AEW Championship. I just wanted to see something different. I thought this right here was more predictable.
Well, I mean, with the you make good points, but the thing with Kenny Omega is I'm really on the fence about it because I know he was a hot commodity. A lot of people were trying to sign him, but it doesn't feel the same. I felt like Kenny Omega could have had the potential of how AJ Styles is in WWE, where it was this big signing, everybody wants him, and AJ Styles has really had a good run thus far in WWE. I don't know how to feel about Kenny Omega just yet. I feel like it can still work, but I'm just not sure at this moment.
That's the problem right there. Everything you just said, that's the problem. Kenny Omega came over. He was supposed to be the big deal. He was supposed to be the biggest free agent signing. Yes, AJ Styles set the bar high. People were scared. If AJ came to the WWE, if AJ came to the WWE, the WWE was going to misuse him. They didn't. They thought the same thing about Kenny Omega. Now, Omega's great in the ring. But AJ Styles to me is better, and a guy like that you just can't hold back. Kenny Omega, honestly, through the end of 2019, was being treated the way fans thought WWE was going to treat him. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do. I do see he's kind of getting back on his win streak, but he's also been teaming with Hangman Page. Not really a big fan of that. I want to see Omega as the guy. He needs to be what people thought he could be. He needs to be on magazine covers. They need action figures. He needs to be that money guy.
Well, I don't know. It's still time. It's still time to do it. But I mean, I don't know if he's the money maker right now. It's going to really take some time to kind of really forget about his run thus far.
All right, well then,
wrestling fans aren't stupid. That's the one
Bingo.
thing I hate that the business sometimes treats us like that. But as fans of the product, we're not stupid. We know things have happened.
Well, we definitely not. Let's move on to a guy MJF. Right,
Mm-hmm.
he came out there, and so Cody Rhodes, after him and his brother Dustin defeated the Lucha Bros, they wanted to do this. Tony Schiavone asked him, "What was the deal?" What was his answer? And Arn Anderson, his coach, says, "No, we're not going to do that. Who is MJF? Who died and made him God and didn't let me know? Basically, you're not going to dictate things. We'll get back to you when we talk about it. So the MJF comes out there and he says, pretty much calling Cody out. And to me, this is the guy who's been the number one heel outside of Chris Jericho, obviously. Mm-hmm. But I don't want to see him wrestle yet. He kind of reminds me of an EC3, except MJF can wrestle. He's just smaller. But he just draws so much heat. When you see this guy, what do you think?
I see a guy who, like you said, he draws so much heat to the point where you don't have to see him wrestle yet. There are some guys in the industry where they can do their thing with just promos and they don't have to even step foot into a ring. And he's one of those wrestlers who you want to see it build. And there's nothing wrong with this. Slow build it up and then see him in the ring. What he's doing right now, his work with Cody, I'm liking it, but just continue to build it up and see where it goes. It's no need to rush it. What I like about this angle right here, as opposed to like a WWE, is that sometimes things get rushed. And right there with what they're doing, that work, I think that a build can really help the company moving forward.
Yeah, it definitely can. Now, let me ask you this. Arn Anderson is a coach for more so Cody Rhodes. Me personally, not much of a fan of it. And the reason why now, one, I feel that Arn was always a better heel, but I know that's old school Arn. He was kind of a face-ish when Flair was beefing with The Undertaker. Mm-hmm. But another reason I look at it is I think if you put Arn Anderson with a guy that he could build the same way you did Tully with I'm looking right at the guy and I can't call his name. Former guy, used to be the Perfect 10. Oh man.
Oh, Ty Dillinger.
Huh?
Ty Dillinger, the Perfect 10?
The artist formerly known as Ty Dillinger. But if you put him, you put I'm sorry. You put Tully, Sean Spears, that's his name. You put Tully with Sean, right? This is an opportunity to build Sean because let's be honest, he was ruined by WWE. As good as he was in NXT for a very long time to the point they had to push him to the main roster. He gets to the main roster and he's just like, whatever. Like, so what? To me, I always got on. He was nothing. It was nothing Perfect 10 about him. But you put him with Tully, you also have doing different stuff. I like him in AEW. I feel Arn Anderson should be with another young and up-and-comer as opposed to being with Cody Rhodes. Dre, what do you think?
You're absolutely right. That's what the old-timers are supposed to do. They're supposed to be with the up-and-comings and then let them go ahead and develop. We've seen this angle time and time again with I know I refer back to the E a lot, but the managers who I think about are like Paul Heyman with Brock Lesnar, and now you see what Brock Lesnar was when he first came into the WWE as opposed to right now. So I think that if you have somebody old school who can really help push you and generate, and then we know Arn Anderson's work in both in and out the ring is long beyond our years, and I think that you're right. That could really help moving forward. I think that he can really help and develop, but I think that that's the angle that they need to put him at, because Cody Rhodes is good by himself, or even with his brother. But to me, he doesn't need an Arn Anderson. Like you said, I think he needs to be with a young up and coming talent and then let that go ahead and play itself out.
Yeah, I agree. Now, another older guy, old head as I'll call him, Diamond Dallas Page. So he says he's gonna wrestle next week.
Lord Jesus.
It's some of the stuff, and I don't mean to rag on AEW, right? And shout out to Uncle Raj, because he was definitely driving the AEW bandwagon. But I'm looking at him like, dude, why is this guy like? Why are they bringing these old guys? You know what I mean? As the real Dwayne Allen would say, where are the new stars? DDP wrestling next week.
I mean, Jesus, we did the same thing. They had Billy Gunn come back. I'm like, and you hate for AEW to turn into what WCW and TNA were when they were bringing back these old timers, and the company just kind of slowly collapsed, and they're not bringing up the young guys. It's nice to see, some of the old heads come back, but at the same time, after a while, you don't really want to see these guys. As I brought up the point earlier, I am a huge fan of The Undertaker. That's the guy I gravitated to when I first started being a fan of the product. But I mean, me myself, I don't want to see Undertaker in a ring. I want to see. I'm curious to see angles with people like Kevin Owens, the Undisputed Era. The guy's name is not coming to me from NXT, who was the last man surviving in this past Survivor Series. Those are the
Keith Lee.
Those are the guys I want to see. After a while, it's like, okay, you've had your time, but it's time for somebody else to come along, and that's how the business is supposed to be.
It's definitely. Before we take a quick break, I got to talk about this. Scott Steiner, NWA Power. How do you feel about that? He was brought on as a free agent, but he's back in wrestling. I guess he never took a break. Obviously these guys be doing independent stuff, but we think about seeing Scott Steiner, on NWA Power.
Yawn. I mean, why? Like, that's what I really. Before these guys sign a contract, they really don't want somebody like me in the ring. Because I mean, across from them before they sign. Because I'm really going to ask you why. Just like,
well, they got Ricky. They got the Rock and Roll Express over there too. So,
Lord Jesus, help us! I don't know what's going on with the business anymore.
Well, we're gonna take a quick break, ladies and gentlemen. Got a word from, like I said, I got a new podcast. Break it down. I mean, excuse me. That's this podcast. See, I'm breaking stuff too much. Got a podcast, Breaking Through Glass Ceilings with Brian H. Next week, I got Ashley Baker coming on. So here's a quick clip. So here's a quick clip coming up.
Hey, I think Steph put up like 50 points that night.
Put up 50 points because everybody we ignored Wall's 40 because Steph was so good that night.
Yeah. So, we were in the locker room, and there was just this funny moment where, we were in the Warriors locker room. It's this funny moment where, Steph and everybody were coming from out of the showers, and I guess Steph had like this Axe spray, and we were at Draymond's locker, and we were interviewing Draymond, and Steph came out of the showers and had this Axe spray, and he kind of sprayed it, but didn't spray it on himself, kind of sprayed it in the air, and it made me jump. The sound of it kind of made me jump, and I was like, whoa. And then he tapped me and said, oh, I'm sorry. And I was like, it's okay, Steph. And he was like, no, I'm sorry, do you want some? And I'm like, no, Steph, like, what are you trying to say? Like, do I smell funny? Like, I didn't know. And at this point, the entire locker room is kind of like laughing at us a bit.
Even Draymond.
And
we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you subscribe to that podcast. Just simply going on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, you name it. Oh, you can even catch it on iHeartRadio. So you name it, I'm there. Just simply hit the subscribe button. Give me 5 stars, just like you should be already have done with this one. Break It Down with Brian H. Brought to you by the Wrestling Realm. So, Trey, this past week on Monday Night Raw, we saw it's official. we're going to get the man, Becky Lynch and Asuka for the championship. As you know, last year, Becky Lynch came up short against Asuka at the Royal Rumble, would go on to enter the Rumble so that she could get that match. How do you feel about Becky Lynch feeling like Asuka's her kryptonite?
Jon. And it's honestly, my feelings come from this. I think WWE has done a disservice to both Asuka and Shinsuke Nakamura. I think that they have misused them. It may be because of the English barrier, but at the same time, I think that shouldn't even play a factor. We see people like Brock Lesnar who don't even say two words in the ring, and then he just lets his in-ring ability talk for him. I think that Asuka, once the streak was over, the problem was they didn't know what to do next. And I think that sometimes with the streak, when it ends, it's like, what's next? And there's no long-term solution as to what to do after you end the streak. We've seen that even Goldberg comes to mind, except the thing with Goldberg is that he was actually still able to kind of dominate. Asuka went on like a bit of a losing streak and then hasn't been able to really get her steam back. And then even when she finally won the women's championship, it didn't feel like it was like it was about time, but it didn't feel as good as it should have felt had she won the title the first time with the streak. So,
well, certainly. It felt like she was on the back burner when you think about it, because we all knew that Becky was climbing that ranks. It's the only thing about when you win a title, they say in between December and February, it's like you're almost a placeholder for the person who's going to win at WrestleMania, unless you're a guy like an AJ Styles, where they say, okay, we're going to give you the championship now, or like CM Punk, and you're going to carry us through WrestleMania with a successful title win. But it's almost like you're the placeholder, except a guy like Daniel Bryan winning, because at the time, I don't believe when he won that the title was, I'm almost certain the plan wasn't for him to drop it to Kofi. And as a matter of fact, I don't even think they had an idea who they was planning for him to drop it to. But you think about The Rock winning the title at No Way Out 2001. That was just so that we could get Austin Rock too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a lot of times like, and I can see what you're saying about Asuka winning the championship in December. A lot of people probably forgot about it, but it was like, okay, we only know this is so Becky can win the Royal Rumble, and they quote unquote swerved us by giving her a one-on-one championship match.
And then Asuka lost the title again to Charlotte, so it was like, oh, it's so frustrating what the WWE is doing with Asuka. I do like the Kabuki Warriors. I like them as a tag team, but individually too, I don't feel them as a powerhouse. There's some people when they get together, you know that what damage they can do individually, such as the Brothers of Destruction, or when Austin and the Game were a tag team, or like the Hardy Boys, people who can still have individual success even as a tag team, and I don't feel that with the Kabuki Warriors.
All right, well, we'll see, but let's move on. Charlotte Flair, she took on Sarah Logan. Started off as a good match, honestly, but then it was something so subtle for me. Now, I'm a Charlotte Flair fan. I think when it's all said and done, she's going to be the greatest women's wrestler ever to lace up a pair of boots. However, the thing that bothered me was her and Sarah had this great match where they went back and forth. Well, I shouldn't say great, it was decent, but they went back and forth, and it was like she was putting her over, even though she was going over. But afterwards, she told the referee, bring me my robe. Come on, bring me my robe. And she put her robe on, and then just, kind of dusted her feet like, I'm above that. And that right there bothered me because I felt like what they were simply saying was Sarah is not on my level and we don't have any plans for her.
I mean, does the WWE have any plans for anybody? I'm just
Dang, Dre, you sound bitter, man.
because I'm mad because this is a product that I've grown to love and I grew up on it. This was my first sport. I love the NBA. I love the National Football League. I love Major League Baseball. But I grew up, the first sport I grew up watching was just professional wrestling. And what has gone on with the product is just hair pulling, mind boggling, idiotic, unfathomable, because I just really don't understand. Charlotte Flair does not need another title run. I like what they're doing right now with Roman Reigns, and I hope and pray that Roman Reigns does not face the Fiend at WrestleMania. But because Charlotte and Roman are mirror images, and I heard this on another podcast from JD from NY 206, and he said that they basically are kind of mirror images of each other, where they have the same move sets that they use over and over again. They don't properly utilize their mic skills, and they push and shove them down your throat so much to the point that you don't really appreciate their greatness in the ring. So it waters down to, like, Charlotte, like you said, is going to be the greatest women's wrestler we've ever seen. But because she's pushed down our throat so much, it kind of makes you feel like, here we go, her again. When they first started out with the women's and another thing too, I don't think that WWE has an idea of what to do with the women's division. At first it started out really, really good. You had the 4 horsewomen with Charlotte, Becky, Sasha, and Bayley, and since then it's just slowly gone down. The tag team titles feel watered down. It seems like some of these matches are just kind of thrown together. Like, I didn't even mind when Carmella was champion, when they had Mella was money. Like, I was like, okay, this is something new. This is fresh. They're having the Money in the Bank women's match. But sometimes it doesn't. It's just you really left head scratching. And a perfect example of that was when Becky Lynch and Sasha fought at Hell in a Cell, and we had this great comeback with Sasha, and then she just loses to Becky, and it's like, what are we doing? Like,
thing, right? Here's the thing. First of all, JD can take his pen and stick it, because clearly he's wrong as far as Roman and Charlotte being pushed down our throats. Those days are over with, right? When you look at Charlotte Flair, yes, yeah, they're over with, because Charlotte, now I know Corey Graves has said he felt like Charlotte was losing steam, and he talked about this with Charlotte directly. He was straight up like, hey, I felt like you were losing steam. And she said she's agreed to an extent only because she's done so much already. And, it's different with the women versus the men, right? The men, you could take a guy and you take a guy like Dolph Ziggler, right? Or Kofi Kingston or The Miz. You could take them and slowly but surely build them to the mid-card titles. And then they finally crack through the glass ceiling, and then they win the WWE Championship or the World Championship. Or maybe on the way they win the Tag Team Championships. You remember back in the day when we used to get the video games, right? And you had to win the European title first. Then you had to win the Intercontinental title. Then you won the Tag Team titles. Then you won WWE Championships. So, yeah, back in the day, yes, did they rush Roman Reigns? Absolutely. They pushed him too soon. But they did cool him down. Since he's came back from beating or, overcoming what he had to deal with leukemia, he hasn't been pushed to the main event as far as in the championship picture. Now, here's the thing. Roman Reigns, and this is why that argument is old. When Roman Reigns goes out there, those fans are loud. I was there in Philadelphia when he was there coming up for SmackDown 2 weeks before the Survivor Series, the fans were cheering. There was no more boos for Roman, right? With Charlotte Flair, people, the thing is with her is a lot of times it's hard to see if they want to make her a face or a heel, which I think she's a better heel. But
oh, yeah, definitely.
If anybody they're forcing down our throats as far as the women is Becky Lynch, because they want her to be so stone coldish, but she's not. She's not at all. She is solid. She's a good worker, but I think she's held on to that title way too long. I thought she should have dropped it maybe around at SummerSlam or Hell in a Cell, but they seem like they're trying to get her over and keep her over, but she's losing steam. Charlotte Flair, not the same thing. So yeah, that's why I disagree with him on that.
Now I do agree with you that and I didn't even get into the man thing. I think that thing been lost steam. And I think that I agree. I think she either should have lost it at SummerSlam or she should have lost it at the most was Hell in a Cell to Sasha Banks. I don't know when they plan on having Becky drop it.
Well, a lot of people think it's going to be against Ronda at WrestleMania.
Oh Lord. If done properly, I would love to see the 4 horsewomen of WWE versus the women of NXT, the Ronda Rouseys, what's her name? Baylor. Yeah, and
the thing is, they just not ready yet.
I know, and the thing is, you don't want to push that too soon, but that's something that I'm really hoping that we build towards. I know they've been working on that for a while, but that's the only other push I would love to see, and get those 4 women finally together. I was hoping we would get the 4 of them together in a match, but that didn't happen. They had Nia Jax instead in there, but that's an angle I would be interested in. I think that Becky Lynch needs to do the Roman Reigns, and I think that she can still build up steam and whatnot, but I think that she doesn't need the belt at this point to be the man. And as far as Roman Reigns, again, Brian, the fans may be cheering and whatnot, and I think the return of the Usos definitely helps him.
It does, and I'm excited about that because I want to see more of that. I want to see the stables. I want to see the bloodline.
But he does not need to face the Fiend at WrestleMania, and that's another person too who's kind of losing some steam too.
Who, the Fiend?
The Fiend is losing a little bit.
What do you want from these people?
It's not as the same as it was. Think about SummerSlam versus right now. Mm-hmm. Do you feel the same about the Fiend?
Well, too, it's smart because remember we haven't seen him in a match. He's been throwing slowly but surely picking at Daniel Bryan. We didn't get the Fiend versus the Miz. We got Bray Wyatt versus the Miz. So I think it's smart what they were doing with him.
I just hope that they don't do this split personality thing that they're talking about, where they have Bray Wyatt versus the Fiend in an actual match. I don't know how the hell they would pull that off, but
yeah, that's just stupid.
But does it surprise you though if the WWE was to do something like that? And remember the old saying, anything's possible in the WWE.
Well, look, here's the thing, right? People were so excited when Paul Heyman came back, right?
Him and Bishop, right? And you see
and you look at Paul Heyman. Look, Lana, Lashley. That's on Raw. That's on his watch. They're officially married though. Next week we get Rusev and Lashley finally squaring off. Are you a fan of this?
No. like I said, this product, I don't understand at all what they're doing. Rusev, when he first came in, I mean, this was he was bad. Like, this was a bad man. Now,
well, that's one thing he did say. He said we're gonna see the return of the Bulgarian Brute.
No, I don't care about the return of that.
You weren't a bad man. You just tired of Rusev now.
he was a bad man. Then they ruined the push with Rusev Day because they didn't think that was going to get over, and it did. I hate wasted pushes. Like I remember Randy Orton with the whole RKO out of nowhere, and it was cool to see Randy do it, but that was an era where Randy should have had a title run. I felt like the Miz when he had his steam and he kept winning the IC belt. I think that the Miz at that point should have upgraded and had another WWE Championship run. I feel like Rusev, they wasted his push with Rusev Day, and I feel like sometimes they're pushed into a corner of they have to push somebody, and it's like they don't want to do it. Like the two that come to mind were Daniel Bryan with the Yes Movement and Kofi Kingston, and it seemed like I know Mustafa Ali got hurt, so it helped. It was a blessing in disguise for Kofi to get over, but it's like it was almost like they didn't want to push Kofi, but the angle got to the point where it was like, oh, we have to push this man and we have to put him over.
Well, wow. Let me bring up something that you're gonna be happy to talk about because you on fire right now, bro. and that's Sasha Banks. How do you? What are your What are her chances of winning the Royal Rumble?
I don't see her winning the Royal Rumble. I feel like her and Bayley are eventually going to square off. I think it's long overdue for them to do it. But I if you had to push me into a corner, I don't know who wins the Women's Royal Rumble. My two picks off the top of my head, I would say are a returning Ronda Rousey, or I would say Nia Jax returning and winning it. And then maybe Ronda returns after WrestleMania. Because usually, in the past we've had surprise returns at the Raw after WrestleMania. But as far as Sasha Banks, I see the angle that they're doing with her and Bayley, but eventually they need her and Bayley to square off, and I think that Sasha just eventually turns on her. But I would love to actually see it in reverse. Since Bayley has a heel turn, I would actually like to see Bayley turn on Sasha as opposed to the predictable Sasha turns on Bayley.
Well, see, I don't want to see that though, because I want to see them together for a while. I like this duo. I want to see them dominate. I want to see them with the tag titles and Bayley still as the women's champion. Or, I just want to see, I don't want that to be rushed. I don't need Sasha versus Bayley right now at WrestleMania. I know a lot of people think that, but I don't need that right now. I love heel Bayley.
Well, you know what? And that was the best thing for Bayley to do, was to turn heel. And I actually really do agree with you that Sasha and her don't need to go at it yet. I think that window when they should have faced each other, I think that passed. Yep. But the issue, it goes back into what I was talking about, the issue with the women's division. If you have Bayley at WrestleMania as champion, who does she face? At least with Becky Lynch, I can say we got two options. Like I said, either she could face a returning Nia Jax, or she could face Ronda Rousey. But everybody on SmackDown, though, I just don't know, because I don't honestly want to see Alexa Bliss and Bayley. That I really don't want to see that match again.
Well, it looks like they're trying to build up Lacey Evans.
I don't really want to, and I feel like it was another one. I feel like Lacey got kind of just thrown in, and it ruined things. Like I feel like when Lacey Evans first got there, she had a good little run with her and the Man feuding. After that, she lost steam. So I don't want to see that again, and I don't know who Bayley would face. I'm trying to give the WWE some time to see what they're going to do is for WrestleMania season, but rumor has it Vince McMahon has no idea what the hell to do for WrestleMania. It seemed like he don't know what to do for the Royal Rumble. Anytime you got Brock Lesnar, the WWE Champion, is number one as a Royal Rumble entry, You don't know what the hell this damn company is doing anymore.
Well, all right. Well, let's take another break. Afterwards, we're gonna get into From the Realm. So we'll take a break. Got a word from the real Dwayne Allen coming up.
The creative process seems to be the topic of choice in professional wrestling. With that being said, the Wrestling Realm would like you to know that as far as the creative process is concerned, we would never do anything to disrespect or disregard each other's ideas when it comes out to putting the best product for the Wrestling Realm.
Houston, we have a problem.
All right, folks. So that was the real Dwayne Allen. If you want more shenanigans like you just heard, make sure you go on the Wrestling Realm YouTube page and subscribe. I can guarantee you will be entertained. You know, the real Dwayne Allen works very hard on a lot of the content, and that's just mentally. We ain't even talking about the actual production of it, just the way of coming up with this stuff. And half the time I'd be wondering where he gets it from. But yeah. So, From the Realm, it's time. Let's go.
And now, for our From the Realm segment, where I answer your questions from the Facebook fan page, the Facebook group page, and the Twitter at Wrestling Realm.
All right, so From the Realm this week, we got one question. That is from our main man, D, a member of the Flex Zone. You could hear him and Dre every Monday at 10 o'clock, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, and his question is, he said, who's the best heel and babyface of the following company? So we'll start with the WWE. Dre, I'll let you go first. Best heel and face of the WWE.
Best heel and face of WWE. Okay. Right now, I'm going to say the best face right now, believe it or not, is my man Kevin Owens. And the best heel right now, I don't really know if the Fiend is a heel or he's just a tweener, but I guess I'll roll with him. I can't think of a guy that you really, really hate at the moment, because even Seth Rollins, it's like this isn't really a good heel run to me. So, and Baron Corbin, I don't. You hate Baron Corbin, but at the same time, he doesn't draw that hate that the Miz had. When I think about heel, I think about like you can't stand to see this person, but you kind of want to see him and see what's going to happen. So those are my picks.
All right. Well, I'm going to say my best heel in WWE is honestly right now is Baron Corbin. I mean, that guy draws heat, and I don't see now maybe, a couple of some people cheering him, but for the most part, he's drawing the most heat out there. But I do think it's going to shift to Sheamus because he has that ability to make you hate him. And as far as the best face is concerned, as of now, I honestly have to give it to Roman Reigns. I mean, this man overcame leukemia to get back in the ring, and people love him. So I think as long as he's not wearing the strap, he's going to be the best face. All right, how about AEW, Dre?
Moxley and Jericho. Those are the two I'd give it to off the bat. I really do want to say Cody, but I mean Moxley. It just seems like Moxley and Jericho right now are the two. Though I really am a Cody Rhodes fan. I really would love to say Cody.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Moxley and MJF. MJF just draws that heat, man. So that's mine. How about New Japan?
I don't know right now. Really, I don't know.
Okay.
I know Japan.
I'm gonna say for New Japan. Now I haven't kept up with it as much as I would like to, but from what I saw at Wrestle Kingdom, top heel right now instantly is Kenta. Just by him breaking up Naito's moment. And therefore, I'm giving Naito the top face. And NWA, James Storm is the best face to me, and right now is Nick Aldis is the best heel. How about you? You got any picks, or are you going to decline?
Shoot, I'm gonna throw in what we gonna say, Scott Steiner, who just got signed or something, man. I'll decline.
All right, well, let's move on. It's time to go around the net. Round the Net brought to you by B Waters Productions. If you're out there, especially in the Baltimore area, and you want something filmed, you want pictures taken at your event, or you simply want flyers, just reach out to B Waters Productions by going on Instagram.com/B Waters Productions or reaching on BrianHWaters.com. So, we start off Mercedes Martinez. Dre, you may remember her from WSU. Signs with the WWE finally. 20-year veteran signing with the WWE. I'm so excited. She is one of the people that I really enjoyed working with. Dre, let me tell you, people had their dream matches. I told Mercedes 3 years ago now, my dream match is her versus Charlotte Flair, and I hope I'm closer to getting it.
I think you do get it.
Yeah, man. You know,
at this point, you need new faces, and at this point, Charlotte Flair has faced pretty much everybody that there is to face. So I say, why not?
Yeah, I mean, you bring in a gal like Mercedes Martinez. I'll be disappointed if they said she's reporting to the Performance Center to be a trainer like they did with Sarah Del Rey a few years ago. We never got Sarah Del Rey versus Natalya, but I understand, you know, that's solid money for her. Moving on, Nikki Bella has been officially taken off the market. So she's got the engagement that she's long awaited. Yes, she had one with John Cena. No, it didn't work out. Congratulations, Nikki Bella. Dre, your thoughts?
Who cares?
Wow, man, you don't care about Nikki Bella?
No, I mean the what was it? The Bella Twins and their reality show, and then Total Divas, and I was just like, okay, and then her and John Cena. I hated that match at WrestleMania. That should have been on a that shouldn't even made the pre-show. That's how awful that match was.
Well, that was the last time we got a formal match planned for John Cena. Ain't that crazy? The next one he would face the Undertaker to restore the Undertaker's WrestleMania, and then in following he would face he just would show up. But I got something you'll care about. Are you ready for this one? Now, I know you. And when I first met you, you was wearing this man's shirt. Triple H says the door is open for CM Punk and AJ Lee. Dre, when you hear that, what does that do to you?
It's clobbering time. I would love to see CM Punk back in a WWE ring. I'm glad that Seth has turned heel, but I still don't want to see Seth Rollins and CM Punk. It's a select few people I would like to see CM Punk face. At this point in CM Punk's career, I don't really want to see him come back full time. I think it's only a select few people who could come back, such as a Daniel Bryan, and you want to see them full time. But CM Punk,
you wouldn't want to see CM Punk full time?
No.
Why not? What's wrong with you? I thought that was your boy.
He is my boy, but at this point in time,
I mean,
father time is passed.
He's younger than AJ Styles, right?
Yes, and I still don't want to see CM Punk full time in WWE. I like to see him part time, yes, but not full time.
You can get him versus AJ Styles. You can get him versus Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, CM Punk versus the
AJ,
Fiend.
I would love to actually see him and Adam Cole.
That's another one.
But yeah, it's select few people I would like to see him really face. I don't really want to see him full time in a square circle. Now, AJ Lee, I would love to see her full time though return. There's so many matches, and there's so many matches that AJ, I feel like she has that we haven't seen. I mean, I would love to see AJ and like Naomi, or AJ and Sasha. her and Becky, as a like who could be like that person in WWE, because there was a time when AJ Lee was that woman in WWE, and I would love to see her and the Man face off. But CM Punk, I feel like it's good to see him back, but I think that he waited a little too long, and it's like, okay, you don't want to see that. I feel like you don't want to see it as much as you would think. And also another thing too is I don't trust creative with him. That's another thing with CM Punk. I feel like he may run into similar issues.
Oh no,
maybe even worse.
If he comes back, Dre, you're smarter than that. He comes back, he's going to have some sort of creative control, just because he's going to be so much more valuable than he was before. But I want to stick with CM Punk because I don't know if you got a chance to see his tweet to The Miz. So The Miz was on The Miz was on WWE backstage and said something about he don't do it for the culture, or he's not the culture or something. And you all know that when CM Punk came back, he says he came to change the culture. And he told Miz, he said, "Hey, you dork, you can go put a blood money whoop whoop in your whoop whoop." And it was just like, yo, like you really told him to do that, tell him to go to Saudi Arabia. So it was just so disrespectful. And I saw a lot of people, we had our group chat with the clique and they was talking about it, but it just make you, you sit there and wonder like, wow, like, people still like, I guess some of that older generation, Punk is still from that generation. It barely respects The Miz.
I mean, a lot of people just don't feel like The Miz is really that guy. But I mean, for me, I respect The Miz. I was there at WrestleMania 27 when he faced John Cena and he was the WWE champion.
Mm-hmm.
No matter if you like The Miz, hate The Miz, don't think he can wrestle, etc., you have to respect that this guy was a reality TV show. And then, I mean, he was a reality TV show star who actually became a superstar, made it in WWE, is one of the faces of WWE, and it will go. And no, hands down, he is a Hall of Fame wrestler. If he put down his boots today, The Miz is a WWE Hall of Famer. He was somebody you always will think about as one of the best heels in the company. He's definitely a great ambassador for the WWE. And
he's a Grand Slam champion.
Yes. I mean, think about The Miz has won the IC title 8 times, close to as close as you can get to the record for Jericho. And I wish that he would have actually, I wouldn't have minded him breaking the record. This is somebody that you truly hated. I mean, I remember he had Michael Cole help him in a wrestling match, which was hilarious. When Maurice came back and he had that run with the IC title, I remember him and Daniel Bryan, that feud. Like, these are some of the things that come off the top of my head. They got John Morrison to come back, him and John Morrison as a tag team. So
you really love The Miz. I thought I was a Miz fan.
I mean, that's my boy. I mean, I could go on and on about The Miz. I mean, and it also helps that when he puts the WWE sign upside down and it becomes an M. My last name is Melton. So yes, I'm a huge fan of The Miz.
Well, sticking right there with me, sticking with Punk, Bully Ray said on Busted Open Radio that Punk should enter the Royal Rumble and eliminate Lesnar. What would you do if that happened?
I would be totally shocked, but I don't see it happening. I mean, I remember when CM Punk took on Lesnar at SummerSlam, and I was shocked by that match because I thought that Brock would just wipe the floor for pillar to post with Punk, and Punk was handling his own against Lesnar. and
More than he was in the UFC fights.
pretty much. And but I wouldn't want to see Punk eliminate Lesnar. Could it be possible? Yes, but then you would have to see Lesnar and CM Punk, and I don't want to see CM Punk get German suplexed 15 times. I would want them to have another match similar to what they had at SummerSlam, but I just don't see that happening. So I'd rather it not happen at all.
All right, and last thing, WWE ice cream bar is making a comeback, but this time they're cookie sandwiches. Dre, I know you're a gym rat, but are you excited for this?
Hell no.
What?
No, man. Next thing you know, you're going to tell me that the New Day are the cookie sandwiches, or they're handing them out personally.
Oh, that would be cool. Better than a pancake.
No, it isn't. And you don't even want to get me started in how Kofi Kingston loses the belt in 3 seconds to Brock Lesnar, and then is out there as a tag team champion throwing away pancakes like Kofi Kingston didn't beat Randy Orton, Samoa Joe, and Kevin Owens.
Hey, look, he said it. He just said it is what it is. What can you do about it? But Dre, I appreciate you joining. This ain't your last time. I know it took me 106 episodes, but we finally got you on here. But this will not be your last time. But until then, where can the people find you?
Like I said, the Flex Zone each and every Monday night at 10 p.m. Facebook Live for right now. We're working on getting our YouTube channel back up, but please subscribe. Put in the Flex Zone podcast. You will see content on there from when Brian and the real Dwayne Allen were both on there. You can see, so you can see that content. Please subscribe again. Put in the Flex Zone podcast. Instagram, Twitter at the Flex Zone 1, and like our page, the Flex Zone. You can catch us live right now each and every Monday at 10 p.m. We are back. We're talking everything that you can imagine, from college football to the National Football League, WWE to AEW, the NBA, to college basketball. Sports how you want it, when you need it, each and every Monday at 10 p.m.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you tune into the Flex Zone. Like I said, it's great content. Look, you're going to listen to people talk about sports. You're going to listen to your Skip Baylesses and your Stephen A. Smiths. Here's the thing. 9 times out of 10, you're going to tweet them. And 9 times out of 10, in Skip Bayless' case, 10 times out of 10, they're not going to reply. At least when you tweet the Flex Zone, they'll reply. They're real people talking real sports that you can actually engage with them, just like you can with us here at the Wrestling Realm. Make sure you follow me at Brian H. Waters. Make sure you follow the real Dwayne Allen at Dwayne Allen 24, and follow the Wrestling Realm at Wrestling Realm. Subscribe Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, you name it, we are there. Until the next time, folks, I'm Brian H. Waters. He's Andre Melton. So long, everybody. Cool, that was phenomenal.
Thank you, man. Who used to do that in WWE? Somebody used to do that. I think it was on Superstars.